You probably heard it, or you might have not heard it yet. But I kind of mentioned it at the Left Forum. I talked about these searches that people are creating using even the newspapers. The newspapers that do not report the truth, like, Daily News and Post, and they lie. We have those in Honduras too. So what the people are doing, they're rolling them up and they're putting them on fire, and they're making torches with those newspapers. And yes, and coming out by thousands on the streets. As this image that you're looking at from today's New York Times, right, talking about how a scandal of corruption in Honduras has created this new uprising of the people. Well, the people of Honduras, this is not new. They're calling it new, right? But really, it isn't. The modality they're using, though, is kind of different. And we feel that this kind of uprising requires a level of analysis. We really need to look carefully into what is happening. So I'm just going to give you a little background of what are some of the things that have been happening in the past maybe 4 weeks. You probably are more familiar with what has been happening in Guatemala, because you know that similar things are happening there. Thousands of people taking to the street demanding the destitution, that the corrupt president gets out of power. There's been marches and protests in New York City as well, supporting Guatemala. And all of a sudden, boom, similar things are happening in Honduras. Since 3 weeks ago. It's like a week later after Guatemala, boom, Honduras starts the same. And so what triggered, right, apparently, these massive manifestations? So like about 3 weeks ago, there was this independent journalist, his name is David Romero, who is the president of the only TV and radio station in Honduras that is telling the people the truth, Radio and TV Globo. And so the line of Radio and TV Globo is to do a lot of investigative journalism, like we do here at the International Action Center. Ooh, right? Nothing new to us. And so they came up with this investigation that they had been doing for a long time, in which they discovered that millions and millions of dollars were taken from the Honduran Social Security Institute. It was practically all taken out. But that's not the interesting thing. The interesting thing is that the funds, as it was discovered with proven checks, many of them were used, these funds, to for the campaign of Juan Orlando Hernandez, and going back to the Lobo administration. Interesting so far, huh? He has the evidence. And supposedly that was the thing that kind of triggered these uprisings. He's been claiming that he's getting a lot of threats, death threats, almost to the point that he wants to leave Honduras, the director of Radio Globo and Globo TV. But there were other interesting things that also happened. For example, 2 weeks ago, the son of Porfirio Lobo Sosa was arrested in Haiti for cocaine trafficking. In less than 24 hours, he was taken into New York City, and he was processed here and put in jail without the opportunity for bail. He went to jail. Lobo Sosa's older son. Now, at the level of the Congress, there was this call for all the major parties to form an alliance led by Libre, PAC, which PAC is also an uprising, a new party that was born almost simultaneous to Libre. And PAC stands for the Anti-Corruption Party. That's the only thing that they stand for. And they are like central right party. And they have a lot of followers, but they don't have like anything solid. We don't know anything about that party. We don't know where it came from. We don't know who funds this party. Central right, with a soft face. The leader of it is another journalist, but for sports. Narrala, who's very popular, like a popular figure among the soccer players and the soccer fans. Really weird. And then, along with all of that, come these marches. But the unique thing about these marches is that they use these torches, right? They are called the marches of the torches, as the New York Times calls them. And their line is that they don't want any political colors, the people in the marches. This is non-political, they're saying. They're not allowing any of the political leaders to come and speak because this is not political. We are all behind the Honduran flag, they're saying, and with the torches. And they are demanding that Juan Orlando gets out of power. And they are also demanding that a commission from the United Nations comes to Honduras to do an independent investigation. Now, why is this interesting to look into in relation to Guatemala? Because you've heard about this, the North Triangle, right? Last year when there was conversations around the immigration crisis in the United States, and they pointed out 3 important countries that were sending the largest number of migrants: Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. And they call these 3 countries the North Triangle because supposedly through that triangle is where most of the drugs get into the United States. So this is where the United States is focusing for its war against drugs, right? Now, but the 2 thugs that the United States has there, Otto Pérez Molina, the thug of the United States in Guatemala, and Juan Orlando Hernández, came to Washington along with the president of El Salvador, but they are the 2 heading this triangular, North Triangular deal. Coming to Washington asking for a lot of money. They want a lot of money to continue to stop the drug trafficking there. At the same time, there has been these investigations about all the corruption of these 2 thugs, right? Juan Orlando and Otto Pérez. Otto Pérez being an assassin from the 1980s in Guatemala, a general who the United States put there, and then Juan Orlando Hernández, the inheritor of the coup in Honduras. Now, what could be some of the readings that we are doing about what is happening there? We are thinking that this may be a strategy of the United States to sort of like wash the face of the thugs that put in there in the first place, Otto Pérez Molina and Juan Orlando Hernández, because they are just too much troublemaking, right? And the United States kind of wants to wash his face. Now, the creation of PAC, this new central right party with a soft face of this popular journalist in Honduras, soccer popular journalist, may be like the new face that the United States wants to push forward. And so there was a creation in New York about a week ago of the same alliance that took place in Congress of the 3 parties. Libre, represented by myself, a representative of PAC, and the less extreme side of the Libre Party, which actually was the one that also promoted the coup and participated in the coup. And we came to the meeting, we went there because we really want to find out what is going on. And we figured the only way we find out is if we are inside. So what we are finding out is that this whole non-color, non-political, Honduran flag only calls are being made by the PAC party, the new face that we are anticipating the United States is promoting. So are we seeing like a surfacing of the revolutions of colors in Central America? What are we going to do in front of this movement? Or a movement that is before us with a new twist to it? We think that as the revolutionary part of the movement in Honduras, the FNRP and the Libre Party, that we need to be in it because we have to push the agenda of what we started 6 years ago after the coup. which is the same demands that we called for a constituent assembly, that we establish a socialist program in Honduras, and that we are going to refound Honduras. So this is going to be a challenge because a lot of people are very excited about supporting the marches. People who never were politically involved are now on the streets, and they're saying that they want to get rid of corruption and that Juan Orlando needs to come down and all of this and all of that. But we are saying we need to go slowly and really analyze what is happening, and we also need to pay attention to what is going on in Guatemala. So we already are anticipating what would happen once Juan Orlando Hernandez is out of power. A couple of unique characteristics about the movement is that the military is not on the streets. The police is not repressing anybody. It's party protest time in Honduras. It's beautiful to be a protester in Honduras right now because you could be out 24 hours protesting massively, and we don't know, the military just simply vanished. They're not there. A few months ago, a law was approved in Honduras to restrict protest. People were not allowed to come to the streets because a small amount of people that came out will get killed, will get repressed, will get tortured, disappear, you name it. And all of a sudden, none of this is happening. And the other interesting thing is that CNN is behind it. CNN has been covering everything and is supporting the marches in Honduras because we need to get rid of Juan Orlando Hernandez. This is CNN in Spanish. And the channel in Honduras that was like the Fox 5 channel there, it's also behind it. The main journalist that actually was behind the propaganda of the communists are coming, they're going to eat our children, we need to stop Mel Zelaya because he's bringing the communists into Honduras. He just resigned 2 days ago from his position because he says he's coming to lead the marches now because we need to get Juan Orlando Hernandez out. So there's something. I mean, come on, right? We are not all that innocent. So we are out. There has begun a huge campaign against President Zelaya, a campaign to diminish him and to just, demonize Mel, and he shouldn't, especially attacking the fact that he is out on the streets because he hasn't been not accompanying the marches. He's been in every single march of the torches with his torch, right? And the Frente is out too, and Libre is out, we're all out, because really this movement was created by the FNRP and the Libre Party, and we figured that coming together in one direction to get Juan Orlando Hernandez out, it's important. But we also feel that we need to protect the movement, and we cannot allow opportunism to take place, and we need to have a serious analysis of where is the United States implication in all of this. We know that in Honduras, the moment the United States says the army goes to the street, the army is in the street. It is exactly what happened during the coup. Right? And it is why the United States established 12 more military bases in Honduras after 2009, besides the largest military base that we already had in the country, being Sotocano and Palmerola since the 1980s. So there has to be significance in the United States participation. Also, there has been confrontations between the ambassador of the United States in Honduras with one of the journalists who is also doing investigation on U.S. aid funds that are saying that U.S. aid was also using funds to fund the campaign of Juan Orlando Hernandez. And they're getting funds out, they're getting the evidence out. And so the ambassador immediately came out and attacked the journalist for saying that, and saying that he's lying, that is not true, that he is doing this negative campaign against, the United States, and that he's exaggerating, and none of that is true. So why would the ambassador come forward, specifically at this moment? So we are going to be at the rally tomorrow that is being called. It's the first rally of the torches in New York City. And we expect to have a lot of people be there. And we are going to be there. And we're taking a lot of leadership in this, the movement that is being created in New York and in different parts of the United States too. We're trying to make sure that we are an integral part of this movement, because we do believe that no matter what it is, no matter who is behind it, the people of Honduras needs us to be there, and we are going to be there defending the truth about Honduras before whoever is there. We're going to be there. So that's pretty much what's happening. At least that's what we see, right? Unfolding. But we need to be on the alert, and we need to be prepared to act as we have always been. And we want to thank the International Action Center for always giving us the unconditional support for us as Hondurans to support the people in the ground in Honduras. Thank you. So we want to make sure that you know where we are going to be tomorrow. We're going to be at 47th and 1st Avenue in front of the United Nations tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And hopefully this won't be the first. I mean, this will be the first, but not the last of the actions. And just to leave this conversation in a very positive note, the people are so smart. The workers are brilliant. And for the past 24 hours, we're already hearing about, we need to resist against this no colors, no political activity. And instead, we should be demanding that all flags get out. Let's bring all of our flags together against this dictator. And one of the biggest flags that is being demanded is that the LGBT flag be out. So it's amazing. It's amazing. So even to New York, they were already saying, some of the members of the Libre Party and the Resistance here, that even tomorrow they want to start wearing their FNRP hats and wear the shirts. And some of them said, help with it. We're going to bring our T-shirts tomorrow. We don't care what they say. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see the people really react and, not allow this invisible voice to, silence them. Because if there's one thing we do not allow it is to be silent. Ain't nobody's going to tell us what to do, what to say, or when to do it and when to say it. So it'll be very interesting. Thank you.